She walked down the cobbles in a wedding dress. Hours later, her own daughter was standing in a police interview room, shaking, having just found a dead body. So when the words Lisa Swain and death started trending together this year, fans didn't just wonder, they panicked. Is DS Lisa Swain, one of the most beloved detectives Weatherfield has ever seen, actually dead? Did Coronation Street really kill off one half of Swarla, the fan-favorite couple who fought tooth and nail just to get to the altar? Today we're cutting through the speculation, the search engine bait, and the half-truths flying around social media to give you the real story behind Lisa Swain, her extraordinary journey on Coronation Street, and what's genuinely going on with the actress who plays her, Vicky Myers. Let's start with why this is even a conversation. Over the past several months, Lisa Swain cause of death has been popping up in search bars and video titles across the internet, and if you've clicked on a few of those yourself, you already know the results are a mess, vague, dramatic, and light on actual facts. That kind of headline spreads fast in soap fandoms, especially when the show itself has spent an entire year building the most elaborate murder mystery in its recent history around Lisa's own wedding day. Add in the fact that Lisa's ex-wife, Becky Swain, was believed dead for years before dramatically resurfacing alive, and you've got the perfect storm for confusion. Fans have been asking the same questions on forums and comment sections for weeks. Did Lisa die at her own wedding? Is Vicky Myers leaving the show? Has something happened to the actress in real life? We're going to answer all of it, clearly and honestly. First, a quick refresher for anyone who hasn't kept up with every twist on the cobbles. DS Lisa Caroline Swain, played by Vicky Myers, first appeared on Coronation Street back in May 2021. She wasn't introduced as a resident of the street at all, but as a detective sergeant investigating the horrific assault on Nina Lucas and the death of Seb Franklin, a storyline that gripped the nation and shone a spotlight on hate crime in a way few soaps had done before. Lisa was meant to be a short-term character, there simply to move the investigation along and then disappear back into the background of Weatherfield's police force. But something happened that happens every so often and so planned. The audience simply wouldn't let her go. Viewers responded so strongly to her calm, steady, no-nonsense presence that producers kept bringing her back, first for the investigation into Imran Habib's death, then for Peter Barlow's storyline, then for the fallout around Joel Deering. By March 2024, ITV made it official. Lisa Swain was being promoted to a full-time series regular, cementing her as a permanent fixture of the show rather than a recurring guest star. Lisa's personal life turned out to be just as compelling as her police work. Long before she set foot on the cobbles, she had been married to fellow officer Becky Swain, and the two had a daughter together, Betsy, conceived with a sperm donor. Becky was believed to have died in the line of duty, struck by a car, leaving Lisa to raise Betsy alone while carrying the quiet grief of a widow. That grief became a defining part of her character, subtly present even in her lighter scenes, and it's part of what made her romance with Carla Connor land so powerfully when it began in November 2024. For Carla, it was her first relationship with a woman, and for a lot of Corrie fans, watching two strong, damaged, endlessly resilient women slowly fall for each other became one of the most satisfying slow burns the show has produced in years. Fans nicknamed them Swarla, and the hashtag has barely slowed down since. Then came the twist nobody saw coming. In 2025, shortly after Lisa and Carla got engaged, Becky turned out to be alive after all. She'd faked her death and spent years hiding out, eventually resurfacing in Weatherfield. It was a gut punch of a reveal, throwing Lisa's entire understanding of her past into chaos and putting her new relationship with Carla under enormous strain. Betsy and Lisa had, at one particularly dark point, even considered giving up their lives in Weatherfield to move to Spain and rebuild a life with Becky, only to discover the devastating truth that Becky had actually been behind Carla's abduction and had left her to die. It was Lisa herself who ultimately arrested her ex-wife. After that trauma, Lisa and Carla found their way back to each other, and in April 2026, The couple finally got married in front of the whole street, a landmark moment for the show, being one of the first same-sex weddings celebrated in this way in Coronation Street's history. And this is exactly where the death rumors take root. Because Coronation Street didn't just give viewers a happy wedding episode and move on. Months before the ceremony even aired, the show broadcast a jaw-dropping flash-forward special, opening not with confetti and vase, but with Lisa's daughter Betsy sitting in a police interview room, clearly shaken, explaining that she had stumbled across a dead body shortly after leaving her mom's wedding reception. The scene then rewound to the present day, revealing 5 characters who could potentially be the victim: Carl Webster, Theo Silverton, Maggie Driscoll, Jodie Ramsey, and Megan Walsh. Producer Kate Brooks teased that the storyline centered on a character who had created a lot of waves in the street, strongly hinting at a villain meeting a grisly end rather than one of the show's beloved core characters. Here's the important part for anyone worried about Lisa specifically. She was never named among the 5 potential victims. Not once. The mystery always centered on those 5 suspects, and the tension of the storyline came from not knowing which one of them would end up dead and who among the cast would be revealed as the killer, not from any suggestion that Lisa herself was in danger. Fans spent weeks dissecting every clue the show dropped, from Maggie Driscoll's chilling declaration about getting her way, over my dead body, or preferably hers, to Theo Silverton's escalating cruelty toward Todd Grimshaw, to Carl Webster's guilty conscience over his role in the tragic Corrie pileup that claimed Billy Mayhew's life. ITV even got in on the fun, running a viewer poll on This Morning where soap expert Sharon Marshall revealed that Theo Silverton was the runaway favorite among fans hoping to see justice finally catch up with him. So where did the Lisa Swain cause of death search trend actually come from? A combination of things. Some of it is simply the natural churn of clickbait content farming search interest around a hot storyline, slapping Lisa's name onto thumbnails because she's connected to the wedding at the center of the mystery, even though she isn't the victim. Some of it comes from genuine fan confusion between Lisa and her ex-wife Becky, whose death and shock resurrection has already made headlines once this year, meaning casual viewers scrolling through recaps can easily mix the 2 storylines up. And some of it comes from the show's own marketing, which leaned hard into ominous, funeral-adjacent imagery to promote the mystery, deliberately keeping fans guessing right up until the reveal aired on the 23rd of April. As for whether Vicky Myers herself is leaving the role, there's currently no credible reporting to suggest that. Myers has been vocal in interviews about how much she loves playing Lisa, describing the promotion to series regular in 2024 as a genuine turning point in a career that had, by her own admission, taken a difficult road to get there. She's spoken candidly about the years she spent doing odd jobs, including telesales and bar work, after being diagnosed with skin cancer in 2010 during a routine visit to a doctor with her nephew, a diagnosis that arrived in the same year as her divorce and forced her to step away from acting for a stretch while she focused on recovering and raising her daughter. She's described that period as one that recentered her, ultimately drawing her back to acting a few years later with roles in projects like The Five and Age Before Beauty before Coronation Street brought her back to the industry she'd once feared she might have to leave behind for good. It's a genuinely inspiring real-life story, and it's part of why so many fans have such affection for her beyond just the characters she plays. On the subject of net worth, you'll find estimates floating around entertainment sites suggesting figures in the region of $1 to $2 million, largely built from her long-running Coronation Street salary combined with her earlier television work on shows like Casualty, Unforgotten, and The Long Shadow. It's worth being upfront with you here. Actors' exact earnings are almost never officially confirmed, and most of these figures are informed estimates rather than verified facts, so treat any specific number you see with a healthy dose of skepticism. What we do know for certain is that Myers has built a substantial and varied career over nearly 3 decades, starting from uncredited background work in the late 90s and gradually working her way up to being one of the anchor performers on Britain's longest-running soap opera. The fan reaction to all of this has been loud and, frankly, a little chaotic in the best way. On social media, the moment that flash-forward episode landed on ITVX ahead of its television broadcast, timelines exploded with theories. Some fans immediately clocked Maggie Driscoll's dialogue as too obvious a clue to be real, arguing the show was deliberately misdirecting the audience. Others pointed to Theo's escalating abuse storyline as the clearest sign of who deserved to go, with more than a few viewers openly joking that they'd happily volunteer to write his exit scenes themselves. Soap outlets and morning television alike jumped on the mystery, with this morning devoting segments to viewer polling and cast interviews, and entertainment reporters counting down the weeks until the April reveal like it was a genuine whodunit worthy of primetime drama. Through all of it, Lisa and Carla's wedding itself was treated by fans as a genuine milestone worth celebrating in its own right, somewhat overshadowed in the headlines by the murder mystery wrapped around it, but no less significant for longtime viewers who'd waited years to see the couple make it to the altar without the show pulling the rug out from under them. So what does this all mean going forward? For Lisa Swain as a character, the future looks stable rather than shaky. She's newly married, she's finally reconciled her tangled history with Becky, and she's stepped into a more settled family life with Carla, Betsy, and Carla's young niece Connie, who was unexpectedly left in the couple's care earlier this year. That's not the setup a soap typically builds before writing a character out. Quite the opposite. It reads much more like a foundation the show intends to keep building on, giving Lisa room to be pulled into whatever fallout follows the wedding day murder mystery, likely as the detective trying to solve it rather than as a victim of it. Given her professional background, it wouldn't be surprising if Lisa ends up playing a direct role in unmasking the killer, adding a layer of dramatic irony to a mystery that literally kicked off on her own wedding day. For Vicky Myers, the momentum seems to be pointed upward rather than toward an exit. Being made a series regular is typically a sign of a broadcaster's long-term confidence in a character and performer, and the emotional weight the show has placed on her storylines over the past 2 years, from Becky's return to the wedding itself, suggests producers see plenty of story left to tell. That said, soap fandoms are no strangers to sudden, dramatic exits dressed up as happy endings, so plenty of viewers online aren't ruling anything out completely, especially with the killer's identity still fresh in viewers' minds and the fallout from that reveal still being written into upcoming episodes. As for what's next, speculation among fans is already shifting toward the aftermath of the murder reveal. Questions about how it affects the found body, how Betsy copes with the trauma of discovering it, and whether the guilt or fear rippling through the suspects who survived the storyline reshapes their relationships with the Swain-Connor household going forward. There's also ongoing chatter about whether the show might eventually explore more of Lisa's professional life within Weatherfield's police force now that she's a settled, married regular character rather than a recurring guest star, giving Vicky Myers more range to work with beyond the emotional beats of her personal relationships. So, to bring it all together, no, Lisa Swain did not die on Coronation Street, and no, there's no credible evidence that Vicky Myers is leaving the role behind. What actually happened is a masterclass in soap opera misdirection, a flash-forward mystery deliberately built around Lisa and Carla's wedding day that named 5 other characters as potential victims, stirred up months of fan theorizing, and inevitably got tangled up with genuine confusion over Becky Swain's earlier faked death. Behind the headlines, the real story is a genuinely inspiring one, an actress who fought her way back from cancer and career setbacks to become one of the most trusted faces on British soap television, now playing a character who just got her long-awaited happy ending, murder mystery notwithstanding. That's the truth behind the rumors, straight from the cobbles to you. If you've been following the wedding day mystery, we want to know who your money's on for the killer and whether you think Lisa Swain ends up cracking the case herself. Drop your theories in the comments below. Give this video a like if you enjoyed getting the real story instead of the clickbait, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our next deep dive into everything happening on Coronation Street.